Hey guys, I just wanted to show y'all how to do your nails with a flake type dip because it's a little bit different than using regular dip, and I don't want anybody to be disappointed or frustrated with their application. So I'm going to show you using a nail swatch. So if you're doing this on your own now, I would say, you're going to build your apex like you normally would. You may want to use clear to do the first 2 layers. And then once you're doing the full nail, you go ahead and put you a thin layer of base. And then you can take your little spoon and do the pour over method, or you can stick your nail in, but you're probably not going to get a whole lot of flakes onto the nail by this method, and that's okay. So once you see these are kind of hanging on there, if you want you can press them down. I'm gonna let that one fall off, and I'm gonna show you guys how to get a decent application when we're doing our second full coat. So I'm gonna put a little bit on the back just so that it won't be see-through. We like having 3 layers of color. So let's see. Let's bring that on there. Tap this down. I'm just gonna tap the flakes down. So now what you want to do is you can take your little cupcake liner and see how if you shake it, the flakes kind of come up to the top. So you're gonna take your thing and go ahead and do another layer of base, and make sure that you brush off your nail in between these layers because you don't want to get a bunch of powder on it. Okay, so once you got your base on there again, now you can take your nail and you can actually like lay it into the dip with the flakes and press down. And see how much foil we get on there with that? We have all this gold, so you can kind of see if it's too much. You can kind of knock some of them off. You can tap them down if you like the way it looks. It's kind of real random. Another way you can do it, if you feel like there's, a big, so you just kind of tap it down like that. Another thing you can do is brush it off before you tap them down if it looks like it's just too much on there. See, that one's kind of falling off. Just pull that one off. And just tap it in place. And if you see how there's if you don't like the random look and you want a little bit more purposeful placement, you can always take a little tiny bit of base and put a little dab right there, and you can grab it a little flake with some tweezers or a little dot tool and just kind of press it on there. Whoop. Or you can use your finger like that, it still works. So there we go. Now the next thing we would do is we're going to put another coat of base on it and cover it with clear, and that way when we're buffing we don't mess up all these little foils. So let's see, I'll do that in just a second. Stand by. Okay, so now I'm going to apply my clear. So we got another layer of base. Let me go a little bit more. Alright, so I'm going to give that a second and then we'll brush it off, and I will activate it and buff it down, and then we'll do our top coat and it will be all done. And that is how you do foil. So stand by and I'll show you. Okay, so I activated like usual, and I'm just going to file And so for your real nails, of course, you're going to file and shape, do all the things that you would normally do. And if you notice that the top is like real rough, you can always file across the top, or you can use your electric file. You just don't want to over file it. You just want to do enough so it's mostly smooth, and then you can buff to get it pretty smooth. Alright, so that's not bad right there. I'm gonna buff it. You see how it's got a little bit where that foil is right there. I kind of want to file down a little bit more. It's like a little lump. And sometimes doing two coats of clear on top helps you smooth it out a bit. That is pretty smooth right there. Alright, so I'm going to brush it off. And we'll activate again, and then I'll put top coat on. And that'll be it. Alright, we'll give that a few seconds. I'm just going to go ahead and wipe it because I'm impatient. And we'll put our top coat on. Okay, and then you can see how pretty and shiny that is. And super easy. It's just a little bit different method. And then next I'm going to show you how to do glitter for anybody who really likes the look of glitter. There's a way to do it to make it a little bit easier. So it's not too chunky or rough, and I'll show you guys that in just a second. Okay, so this is cotton candy, and it is considered a chunky glitter because it has some bigger glitter pieces in it. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this without it being like super rough or bulky. So if you want, you could do like a base of clear, a base of pink or white, or whatever you feel like going with underneath, or you could just do the glitter. You don't have to do any other colors underneath if you don't want. So we're gonna put our first layer of base, and I'm gonna scoop some glitter on here. Okay, so we're going to tap off the excess. Now, if you see any pieces that are like really kind of sticking up, just tap them down, help them lay down. If you have any big chunky pieces sticking out on the side, you can always pick them off or move them or tap them to make them lay down flat. So that way it's not in your way. So you can see we didn't, with the pour over method, we really didn't get any of the chunkier pieces in there. If you want some more of the chunkier glitter like we did with the flakes, you can kind of shake this and the bigger chunkier pieces will come up to the top. And I'm gonna put a little bit on the back so it's more like having 3 layers where it's not so see-through. It's more realistic of the color, or representative of the color rather. So let's see. Just tap it out. Okay. Alright, I'm going to brush this off. And we'll do another layer. So what I'm going to do this time, so I can try to make sure that I get some of these chunky glitters, I'm going to do kind of like I did with the flakes. And I'm just going to lay it across the top of this powder. A little bit more base. Okay, my base is nice and even. And so I'm just going to lay this flat down into the powder. And then we will tap off the excess. And so you can see some of these chunky glitter pieces hanging. Just kind of tap those off, or we can like move it on there, tap it down. So this is a little bit. We don't need quite that many. So I'm going to take a couple of them off. And like I said, you can just tap it down to make sure that your glitter is laying down and not sticking up everywhere. If you do have a chunky glitter but you don't really like the big glitter pieces, you can always sift them out using like a little organza bag, or one of the Keurig refillable pods that has a good size holes on it. That I'm just gonna put a little extra powder to make sure everything's nice and covered. That will catch the big glitter but let the small glitter go through, and let the powder go through. Alright, so they're all laying down pretty good. I'm just going to brush off the excess. Alright. Okay, so now, let's see, our glitter is pretty flat. We're going to do some clear over the top. You always want to do clear over the top of your glitter. Sometimes it's even better to have 2 coats of clear instead of just one. That way you can have a nice smooth surface. It encapsulates your glitter, and you don't have to worry about accidentally filing down your glitter. If you do file your glitter, it'll make it like a silvery color, and it's not real cute. So I'm just pouring this clear over. I'm making a little bit of a mess. Alright, I'm going to tap off the excess. Alright, so I'm going to give that a minute, and then I'm going to do a second coat of clear over that, and then we'll activate, and I'll show you how I buff and file after that, and we'll see what it looks like at the end. Okay, I'll be right back.
No, he's laying down.
Okay, so this is cotton candy with 2 layers of clear on top, and it is activated. So I'm getting ready to buff it and file so we can smooth it out and then put the top coat on. So it's pretty thick, and you can see it's a little bit rough from where the big glitters are kind of taking up space. And so I'm just going to file, and we'll file across the top. And I put 2 layers of clear so I didn't have to worry about buffing my glitter or filing the glitter on accident when I'm trying to make a smooth surface. Since it's got some little uneven areas, I'm just going to use my file to kind of go across the top to make sure I get it pretty even, and then I'll buff it. And when you're doing this on your regular nails, you can use a fingernail file like this, or you can use an electric file. Either one will work. Probably the fingernail file will take a little bit longer than the electric file, but you know, whatever works for you, whatever you got. One hand is fine. Alright. Okay, so I still got a little bit of a divot right there just because of the way that one little chunky glitter landed, and we could fix that, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm just going to buff over the top of it. right, so that's pretty smooth right there. And I will activate again, and then see, just kind of see, I don't know if it's in focus or not. Can't tell. Okay, so I'm going to activate again, and then we'll put the top coat on. And you'll see how nice and shiny and pretty it turned out to be. So we're activating. Make sure we cover everything real good. And then we'll put the top coat. Okay, so this has been activated the second time and it has dried. So now we're going to put the top coat on. You know, when you do your nails, you're going to do 2 layers of top coat. The first one usually dries in about 45 seconds, less than a minute. And then you could do a second layer of top coat. And so, you see how nice and shiny and smooth that is. And so you have the pretty look of glitter, even big glitter, without it being rough or chunky or anything like that. It's nice and shiny and smooth. And that's it. Super easy.